What's up, guys? John here, and welcome to Baltimore Retro Gaming. And today, we got Contra Hard Corps on the Sega Genesis. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is my copy of Contra Hard Corps on the Sega Genesis. And I printed cover art for this game because, guys, this game was card only. Now, it is an original cart. This is the same kind of cart I got on my Castlevania game for the Genesis. So I know the Castlevania game I got didn't come in the plastic box. It came in like a paper cardboard box. But yeah, guys, so I bought this game for 20 bucks. You know, if you find a cart, you know, go to your local retro video game store. If it's a store that's been there for a few years, odds are they probably got a place in the back where they keep all the Sega Genesis cartridges they're not selling, all the boxes. So I just go to one of the stores in my area. I ask for the boxes. A lot of times they give them to me for free. If not, they'll give me like $5 for $1. So, I mean, this is a cool way to throw your Genesis games on a shelf. You know, you just print out cover art. Go to SegaRetro.com. They have every cover art for every region. And you can have an awesome looking game on your shelf because, you know, I'd see all my games, you know, fanned out, you know, the spined out, I mean, like this. And then I'll have this, like, stack of cartridges over here. It just doesn't look right. But, guys, you print your cover art, games look fantastic. Oh, Contra Hard Corps on the Sega Genesis. Guys, this brings back a memory from my childhood of something I did. I kind of feel guilty about it. There's actually two games that bring back these really nostalgic memories for me. One of them is Contra Hard Corps. The other game is Ninja Warriors on the Super Nintendo. But anyways, you know, back in the day, I was probably 11 or maybe 12 years old. I had a Model 2 Sega Genesis. I had some pretty decent titles for, you know, one of them was Contra Hard Corps. And this younger kid in my neighborhood had a PlayStation Model 1. Now, at the time, you know, PlayStation just came out. Everybody was chasing after it. You know, I remember them being kind of hard to get at some point, you know, when it first came out. But, you know, this kid, he had a PlayStation 1. He had, like, Crash Bandicoot and maybe one other game and a demo disc. And I remember he was watching me play Contra Hard Corps. And, you know, I wanted that PlayStation because there was some games at the time I really wanted to play on it. And I was like, look, dude, I'll trade you your PlayStation and your 2 or 3 games for my Genesis and my 12 games. You know, that's an even trade. And by today's standards, the games that I had on that Genesis, that Model 2 Genesis, like, yeah, it was an excellent trade. You know, if we did it today, if I did a trade like that, I'd definitely be losing out. But I remember getting this PlayStation 1, trading off my Genesis, and, you know, playing Crash Bandicoot. God, and I remember that kid's mom was pissed off because it was like his birthday or his Christmas present. And he just gave it to me, and he had a Genesis, and, you know, I kind of felt guilty about that, and I had that PlayStation for quite some time. But, you know, these are the things we do as kids. Okay, now let's turn to Wikipedia and learn some random facts about Contra Hard Corps. So, Contra Hard Corps is a side-scrolling run-and-gun style shoot-'em-up video game released by Konami for the Sega Genesis in North America and South Korea in 1994. It was also released for the Mega Drive, you know, over in Japan as Contra the Hard Corps. It was the first game in the Contra series released for the Sega platform and serves as the first entry in the Hard Corps series, itself a sub-series of the Contra franchise. Set 5 years after the events of Contra 3 The Alien Wars, a terrorist group led by some colonel has stolen an alien cell, recovered from the war, and now intends to use it to produce weapons. Instead of the traditional Contra heroes Bill Razor and Lance Beam, a new task force known as Hard Corps with 4 members are sent to deal with the situation. The game features a branching storyline with multiple possible endings. Okay, so my experience with this game, I mean, all that nostalgia stuff aside, you know, yeah, I had this game as a kid, and I played the hell out of it, and I loved it. You know, as a kid, I always loved run-and-gun shooters, you know, like Contra, you know, mainly Contra. That was like the main run-and-gun shooter. But, you know, other games growing up, you know, those are the kind of games that really got me into shoot-'em-ups, you know, later on into my adulthood. You know, like the R-Types and the Gradiuses and the Parodius and all that stuff, and all the many shooters that I love. You know, games like this really got me into, you know, that kind of genre of game. But, you know, there's a couple of games that come to mind that really show the power of the Genesis and what it can do. You know, one of them is Contra Hard Corps. You know, this game looks beautiful on the Genesis. it looks good just using, composite to the TV, without any HD retrovision cables or, anything like that. This is one of two games that I really think shows the power of the Genesis. And, this game, it's got great music. It's very colorful. I might be wrong about this. Maybe this is just my interpretation of the situation, but I feel like this is the best Contra game in the Contra series of all the, the Nintendo games, the Super Nintendo games. I like Contra 3 Alien Wars, and this game definitely expands upon that. But, like all the real shitty Contra games that came out on the PS1, like I feel like on the Genesis, Contra hit its stride. It does everything it's supposed to do. There's diversity in this game. There's so many different, there's branching story paths, and it's not just like run and gun shooter. It throws so many curveballs at you and so many different ways to play the game. I mean, you have 4 people you can choose from, and each person has, 4 or 5 weapons, one of them being like a bomb, like a screen clearing bomb, but, and look at the game mechanics. I mean, this game, you can switch through your weapons if you hit A. If you fire your gun and tap A as you're firing your gun, you can cycle through your weapons. A really interesting game mechanic that I love, especially during boss fights, is if you hit A, you can run and shoot your gun as you're running. Now, without holding the fire button down, if you tap A again, you can stand in one spot and push forward or up or to the side and fire in whatever direction you're trying to fire, without running, and so that way you can kind of like snipe your enemies out. Like, I love that game mechanic. It works very well for this game. The characters you have to choose from, you have a chick, you got a dude, you got a robot, and you got this like hairy werewolf, chewy kind of guy. So, this game, it really has a lot for everybody. It kind of mixes genres a little bit in the run and gun style shooter, gameplay aspects of this game, but, I think this game it's a beautiful game. The gameplay's good, the music's good, the graphics are good, the real shitty synthesized voice that you hear when you get power-ups is good. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like, when I'm playing games like Hyper Duel or Glay Lancer and I get power-ups and I keep hearing, power up, and that real shitty synthesized robot voice, I love that stuff. That's the stuff that gets me going for these games. But, don't let me talk about the game. Go find it for yourself. Download a ROM. Go find a loose cart. Or if you're one of those guys and you need it complete, go spend the money. But I'm warning you, this game can get a little pricey. So, do I recommend Contra Hard Corps? Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done a video on the game if I didn't recommend it. But, there are probably going to be times where I do videos on games that I hate, just to give you guys my opinion on them. I could think of a few I want to do videos on that are going to be kind of funny. But anyways, guys, buy this game like I did if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Buy it loose cart. You don't need to buy repro. It's not one of those super pricey games or an import that cost $1 million. You don't need a repro. You can probably find the game card only for right around $20 to $40. Somewhere in that price range. Now, if you're one of those people that need it complete with the manual and the original artwork, it's probably going to run you about $100. So, again, this game's not super expensive that you can't own it. Just buy a card only, get an empty Genesis game, print some artwork, you're good to go. Oh, and guys, remember, hit me up on my Facebook group, especially Instagram. I'm going to post pictures of some of the shirts that I'm making. And again, most of my shirts, well, all of my shirts are $25 unless you're in some obscure part of the world that's really hard to ship to. I may have to charge you a little bit more. But, hit me up on Instagram. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching that. Remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, peace out.